all. This is Dr. Mobeen Sayed from DrBeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So once again, my apologies for the bad video yesterday. My network card was not the correct card, and Dawn Windows keeps re-enabling it. So I miss my Mac days where I didn't have to worry about these things. Okay. So let's do a quick recap of some of the... Sorry about this. Sometimes this screen sharing software does this little flicker. I do not know why. I'll have to go afterwards and cut it out. So hope everyone is doing well. Once again, this is DrBeen.com. There's a link in the description with the most affordable price for DrBeen.com, one-time lifetime access. Here is an interesting news. Moderna has finally said that they are testing a booster that would cover Omicron as well. So Moderna Inc. said it had started a study of a booster shot that combines a formulation designed to fend off the Omicron variant with the company's current COVID-19 vaccine. Fend off? Anyway, so that's Moderna. And I think we are all looking at this one, to mask or not to mask. So the mask mandate was knocked down for, I believe, airports, and here we are. 2 years after that, the airlines can have no masks. This is the same study as we saw before. This is the same as well. I wanted to share this, and it is interesting. I actually tweeted this chart this morning, and somebody said, "Why are you fear-mongering?" And I was not fear-mongering. What I was saying was, look, we have BA2 and its subvariants replace the whole Omicron system at this time. So Omicron, if you see this dark purple, is Omicron parent. And then at this time, these light pink and the orange, these are actually the BA2 and its subspecies or subvariants. So Omicron original BA1, let's call it. It is BA1, right? It's only 6.1%. So 94 or 93.9% are BA2 variants. That is very interesting. Then, and I think I may not have the link in the description, so let me just put the link here. Here. And here is another interesting thing. So this is the BMJ. In the BMJ, there is another note, vaccine injury and patients and lawyers. So this is the COVID-19 is the US compensation scheme for vaccine injuries fit for purpose. And in this, they discuss some. It's interesting to read. Let me put this link in the description as well. I should have put them in the description. I forgot. So here it's in the chat. In this article, they also mention a patient, Michelle Zimmerman, and she has been in touch with me for many months now, I believe. So she had reached out to me via Twitter, and then we connected and we've been discussing her situation. She had Johnson & Johnson. So after being vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine on 14 March 2021, Michelle Zimmerman from Seattle developed severe pain, loss of movement in her left arm, and problem with her cognition, memory, speech, and eyesight. So when you see her, we have done some Zoom calls as well. She wears a very specialized set of glasses that help keep her vision within one area and block some parts. There is so much of disturbance she has. Different specialists gave a primary diagnosis of a severe vaccine reaction. Unable to return to work as a high school leader, teacher, and educational researcher. She's actually a PhD. And aided by parents who were taking care of her, she submitted medical reports to her insurance company. The insurer granted her claim, agreeing that the evidence proved that her disability began on the day she was vaccinated. I think that there should be um, possibility that the injury starts few weeks later, which we're seeing in many cases. Zimmerman then prepared to apply for compensation through the CICP. Before submitting, she called administrators for clarity on whose what standards of proof were needed to show that her injuries were vaccine related. The CICP was unable to provide an answer, she tells the BMJ. So that was the first part that really concerned me, she says. If you don't have a high level education, or like me, are going through severe cognitive vision problems, it's incredibly excruciating and difficult to try to even get through the instructions for how you would establish proof. What would count and would not, and what doesn't count. So then Zimmerman submitted her application on 1st October 2021 and received an automatic confirmation email. She then emailed administrators to get written confirmation of her submission. But she says that she was then left in limbo because the CICP does not provide a timeline for when claimants should expect to hear a response. After calling repeatedly to check the status of her claim, in November, so October to November, she received a phone call from CICP administrator who told her there was no record of her application. She was horrified. As a researcher and author, she knew the importance of good governance around people's medical records. You don't just lose things like that, she says. She was told that it was not possible to talk to any supervisors and that the only route available was to resubmit her application. But the CICP has a time limit. It accepts claims only if filed within a year of receiving a COVID vaccine. Had I not called and written so often, I would not have known that they lost all records of me until it was too late to resubmit, she says. She has still not received a case number or written confirmation of her submission. The experience has left her with little confidence in the system and with concern for others, especially disadvantaged groups. If I can't navigate the system with a PhD, what hope is there for someone else? She asks. You have no resources for attorney support. You have no one who has expertise who can go through medical records for you. If I didn't have disability insurance, I don't know what I would do. Zimmerman believes that the system is broken and is calling for COVID vaccine to be added to the VICP, Vaccine Injury Program, I believe. She says, so many of us who are injured received vaccine to protect others for civic duty and to decrease load on medical professions, and now we are being called collateral damage because the CICP is not a functioning safeguard. So there are people who are going through these processes and these experiences as well. And then, and I wish well to Michelle. I actually am continuously in touch with her as well. And so then the US. So we have now 96.9 was that? The percentage of BA2 now. So US cases, again, the cases, are they testing? They're not testing. Still not really big. Hospitalizations. Let's look at hospitalizations. And Paul would be with us on Thursday. He's here as well. Hey, Paul, how are you? And so he would have a better He would do more justice to this than me. But so this is US hospitalizations. So if you see here in January 18, US had number of patients 153,236 people in the hospital. And now at this time, US is not even on the list. So let's see here, 10,172. So about 15 times lesser. And then if I go to deaths, so again, on the lower side, and I hope it stays on the lower side, we'll see. This is 7-day rolling average. COVID-19 deaths per million. US at this time is at 1.2 per million. And US has been in the latest time in February, 7.65 per million. So almost between 6 to 7 times reduction. Okay, so this is what we have. I just wanted to quickly recap some of these things. So Margaret says, inexcusable treatment of a trusting, hardworking teacher. Horrible, yes. So Vanilla Bean says, Canadians developed sanitized nasal spray, but it's not available here. India and Israel have it. And yes, we talked about it as well. Iggy Pop says, how many different types of COVID vaccines are currently available in Canada versus America? So I think it is the same thing. Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer. And then additionally, Canada has approved Medicago's Covifens as well. And I do not know if the Novavax, they have applied here, but Novavax, I do not know if it is approved there. So let's see. Yes. So Novavax was authorized for use in Canada under the FDA regulation. This is when? Novavax. Is there a date here? 2 days doses age 18 and older. It was approved. I don't see a date here, but yeah, it is there. So that means they also have Novavax, and they have for 18 to 64. Now they have the Medicago as well. So Novavax, Medicago, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna. US has 3, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer. So Kini is saying, Robin, I was checking Discord and YouTube and nothing until long after the chat started as well. So my apologies. Is that today or another day? Yesterday was bad. So Nipa says, India is making it. No spray by Glenn Mark. Fabi spray. Paul is telling us 46% likes. Let's make them 100% likes. So Kini says tonight. Wow. So how is the relay right now? Is the video okay and the audio okay? I'm still playing with the audio. This is a beautiful system and is complex as well. You want to hear something fun with the audio? So I can change my voice. So check this out. Hello, hello. Can you hear? This is hard tune. And check this out. This is robot. Hello, this is Mubin. I'm a robot. And this is a megaphone. Hello, this is a megaphone. So there is so much with this one. Excellent. So Lodazzle says, disconcerting message from Dr. Corey yesterday. Is it true for Dr. Patterson? Is it true Dr. Patterson holds the patent for Maraviroc? Yes. So Maraviroc for COVID and long COVID, that is a patent, not everything. Originally, it is, I believe, Pfizer's patent. However, Maraviroc's use for long COVID is what Dr. Patterson and team in CellDX, I believe, they obtained a patent. I believe he had tweeted it a few months ago, 6, 7 months ago. So yes, he has. I didn't think that it is possible to take a drug and just give a patent like this, but he has it. Alexander says, T-Pain Bean with auto tune. Yes, I have the hard tune as well. There are many features of this mic system. Texas says that is not a patent. Texas actually, he shared a link as well. And I know some lawyers involved type discussions as well. So maybe we should look a little more. So I don't think general patent is there. It is for Maraviroc within long COVID's context. Tito Baraza says, Miraviroc has helped me a lot in 1 week for long COVID. Good to know. Meanwhile, in America says, why would it be an issue if he holds the patent? Does it make it more expensive? No. I think I don't think there is an issue either. Here is how, and I'm opining now. It's not, I'm not a lawyer, so I do not know what are the issues there or not. But number one, if somebody is, I think if somebody prescribes, somebody manufactures Maraviroc, which is then used for long COVID, then they have a patent. So that means even today, when Pfizer manufactures it, they do not know if it is going to be used for long COVID or not. And so I believe, this is my opinion, that they then Incel can go to Pfizer and say, you made a drug that got used for long COVID. We have the patent on that. So you need to share the revenue or give us license fee. And now what would be the way to figure out who used it for long COVID or not? And then probably such big companies would simply say, okay, you know what, you take this constant amount of fee from us, and just let's agree on that. So something like that. Critical Thought says the opposite of gifts to humanity. Gifts to humanity is a very difficult thing, actually. I was talking with someone, and I have not shared it here. In the last few days, we received the letter, and I have gotten something in that a damage because of these complainers, which runs in hundreds and thousands, almost towards millions. And this is the latest news. And I was talking with someone, and I was saying that when I was doing these things, I did not expect that there will be so much emotion that people would just try to take your livelihood away. And so doing service also has punishment, which it sounds paradoxical. And interestingly, we also have this, that there is no free lunch. That means there is nobody who's going to serve for free. But I was speaking with a friend, and I said, we are brought up with these kind of um, teaching that it's not necessary that if you serve someone, then they are the ones who have to um, give you back. Sometimes the credit is with the universe, and universe repays you in so many ways, and maybe the next life, if there is a next life, and so on. So the I think, and I was listening to a scholar, and he was saying that after his whole life of trying to seek happiness by buying things or such, usual factors that we attach happiness to, that when this happens I'll be happy, he said eventually I found out that if I was actually serving, it gave me meaningful happiness. So I think service, these gifts to humanity, they have a meaning of themselves in them as well. There is a happiness in there. I was actually thinking about it yesterday as well. When we were all here for 2 years, can you imagine, we have actually created this community where we are here. It's really not necessary that I should be speaking. It's the chat that is happening. It's friends that are being made and discussions that are happening. That in itself is quite fulfilling to see that we've ended up creating a KoolBeens cafe where people are talking with each other. So, but as it was said, that no good deed goes unpunished, that happens. And I think that is part of life, that life does not always offer just uh, paybacks. But I believe overall, in the bigger picture, this life, next life, with universe, without universe, these all deeds are stored somewhere and their credits are there, and eventually a person gets. My uncle used to tell me when I was younger that it is not, if you do bad to someone, it is not necessary that the same person should be able to do bad back to you. You will get it from somewhere else. So make sure that if you thought somebody is weak and you can just get away by doing something bad and they cannot do anything, somebody else is going to do something. And similarly, if you do good, it's not necessary that the same person who you did good for has to repay or they have to reward you back. Universe would take care of it. So I believe in these things. So, meanwhile, in America says, Dr. Bean, you are saving and improving lives. That must count for something in any life. Correct. This one or the next. Your treatments have returned a significant portion of my quality of life. Thank you very much. Number one, good to know. And thank you. The point I was making was, it is actually possible to serve without an expectation. So, to serve with the gifts, because the repayment could be somewhere else. Matthew says, I've checked for a vitamin B17 or trial video on your channel. It's claimed that vitamin B17 enhances the body's ability to fight cancer. Have you heard about it or could look into it? I could. I have not heard about it, but I could look into it. We have to figure out a way for me to capture these and then prioritize. So nowadays, the prioritization, I have brought it um, to patrons. So in the morning, I say, here are a bunch of topics. What would you think that we should prioritize for today? So let me actually show you, or yeah. So human B17. Let me show you how I ask patrons. So I'm trying to create a process where the community is participant in the topic's decisions. So I'm gonna share my screen. So here, for example, this morning I had said, here are the important topics in my mind. Vaccine generated spikes and their component S1 and S2 found in plasma. So there is a study from Oxford that has said that when vaccine is given, the spike generated is broken down into two pieces, S1 and S2, which we know it can be. But then they say that the S1 is found in plasma. And this can then connect to Dr. Patterson's studies where they said that S1 is present in monocytes. So maybe the excuse me, the S1 that is present in the plasma is picked up by monocytes, and that is how it ends up in there. So I thought of reviewing this. And then the one that we just did, ADCC, then there is another study that says that polyethylene glycol, which is the part of the lipid nanoparticles, may create autoimmune or immune response to that. Then, of course, the new variants. Then transfection, there was a question from a KoolBeen to say, what is transfection? Because many studies say we transfected. For example, even today's study that we discussed, they had transfected a cell to behave like another cell or to express genes. Then Evishield has been, and Paxlovid has been requested. So if you see here, there were 93 votes, and then patron said, let's do the ADCC today. So I'm going to probably do this S1 and S2 tomorrow because that was the second most voted tomorrow, unless we have tomorrow. I believe we have Paul with us tomorrow. Yes. So the next time I present. No, it's not necessary to avoid um, mouthwashes. Good night, Sky Frog. I hope you're doing well. So, JLB, there is actually a discussion I did with Dr. Keith Berkowitz from FLCCC. And we thought that some of the hormonal imbalances after vaccine, or maybe even after SARS-CoV-2, is possibly because of the pituitary inflammation, because many tissues of the brain get inflamed, which then causes, of course, pituitary's function is to control all the hormonal balances. And if it itself is not functioning correctly, then hormonal balances go out of whack or become imbalanced. So that would cause, for example, fluid imbalance because of ADH, or that would cause the suprarenal functions imbalance, thyroid's imbalance, and those symptoms would appear. So it's, at least this is a working hypothesis between us, but there is no study. M. Gregory says, why so little likes? Does Dr. Bean have lurkers? Lurkers are welcome too. But like. So Nipa is saying, Paul Burke, he was ready to buy Twitter. They declined. So now he will be their huge competitor. Good for people. Is that Alan? Is he going to set up a social media platform? Carol Lee says, wow, thank you for this hormone pituitary COVID information. You're very welcome. We actually discussed it in detail in one of the discussions with Dr. Keith Berkowitz. I think it is on my channel. So if you look for his name on my channel, Keith, you can actually come across that video. Alquin says, Alquin is a lurker, though the judicial system prefers the term stalker. Got it. Elon Musk is, yes. You're very welcome. So VV says, ready for this virus to just mellow out? Just saying, I think it is mellowed out. It's done. And now we just have to keep our guard up so we don't accidentally fall victim to it and then just move forward. Donald says, would the age of the person or the blood used in the ADCC lecture make a difference in the outcome as far as which antibodies show up? Actually, they used, I think the age was median 50 or so. That's what I remember. I can open it up and see it. But NKs are more in children, less in adults. And they made a conjecture in there as well that maybe the patients who have more antibodies and more severe cases is because antibody engagement is not that great. Instead, if it was cytotoxic T cells or NK cells and they are helping, then the patients are less symptomatic. So I don't know if it is related to age and the question that you're saying, but antibody variation and the NK cell number variation can affect this study's type outcome. Jean says, I believe in these things too. Karma, universal balancing. May you receive abundant blessings for all the blessings you have so generously given, and may we all meet again in another lifetime's cafe. Thank you very much. Yes, it will be fun. We'll make another KoolBeens cafe. Meanwhile, in America says, do you have an opinion on the new Moderna hybrid vax? That's what we talked about, plus Omicron, set to come out in the fall. Yes, so I think they should have done it far, far back. So good that they did it. I like it. So Robin says, the article I read about IncelDX getting the patent is because they're spending a lot doing research, studying the use of CCR5 in temporary treatment. Look, it is business. They are business folks, and more power to them. This is not illegal what they're doing, but there is a outcome that they have a somewhat of a control. They can't stop a doctor from prescribing it, but they can stop a manufacturer from selling it without licensing with them. Alexander says, I would like to believe in karma. Karma is there. So let's look at the age question. So here, age about this study. So this is table 1, characteristics of study participants. They were COVID recovered, healthy controls, and vaccinated. 15 recovered, 15 controls, 10 vaccinated. Median age 51, 40, and 50. and interquartile 30.5, 33, 26. Males 9, in the COVID recovered female 6, in healthy 7 and 8, and in vaccinated 4 and 6. So about 50 was the age. Grace for your face. Unmerited goodness, no limit. Thank you very much. So, meanwhile, says, has anyone tried ketotifen? I know that Dr. Tina Pierce talked about it. I have not tried it. M. Gregory says, I want to fix my karma. So sometimes there is a lot of injustice. What I have learned is to, the only thing, for example, let's say this complaint finally, out of 9 complaints, one finally got us damaged. So if maybe I had done something in the past which caught up with me, or maybe there is an injustice that is done and that would catch up with that person, or maybe I will get a reward. So there is something, there are balances. Kelly says my pronouns are wife, mother, cool bean. Very well, cool bean. Renee says my pituitary area, the triangle, is where I've been having headaches since I was exposed again last January. Should I be concerned? Could it be pollens? I do not have a lot of allergies. Thank you. Depends that what is the overall outcome, number one, and number two, they should do tests to figure out. It is easy to figure out if pituitary is malfunctioning. So just headache should not be a problem, but if you're concerned, talk with the doctor and they would do labs. Danilo says, I'm a Buddhist philosopher. I believe in karma. Karma is the internal truth. I believe karma, or this universal balances, are true. So, this is a very interesting question. Is the thrush and throat a possible sign of long COVID? It could be. I have not heard, but at the same time, sometimes taking immunosuppressants or immunomodulators can cause these fungus to kind of escape the immune suppression that we do of it and become thrush. Sometimes it's just that our immune system cannot handle it. So just please talk with the doctor and uh, they should be able to handle it. Meanwhile, in America, says I've traded my long COVID for pretty much anything, but I'll also acknowledge it has forced me to streamline my life and work balance at least. Agreed. And I still wish that you recover fully, and I hope you're taking advantage of I recover. So Iggy Pop says, Dr. Bean, agree with Dr. Drew that US medicine has become too centralized and compromised. It is our, I have said it many times, US medicine has learned or organized itself to take care of the mainstream problems and keep the majority of the population happy that way, while continuing to earn from us the insurances and high mm, prices for the medicines. It is interesting that the companies would sell them outside for cheaper and say, well, the other countries cannot pay for it. So eventually, Americans are the ones who are, in many cases, taking loans or paying thousands of dollars every month to kind of sponsor the production of these medicines and the tests and trials to then benefit the whole humanity. But in this process, they themselves, when they become not mainstream, for example, with COVID, we all became not mainstream. Then the punishment is severe because they are just neglected. Our system is not set up to do good for those who are not in the mainstream set of problems. Similarly, our society is very litigious, and so we sue people very commonly. And the result is that the best approach for doctors is to not deviate from the algorithms and so or protocols, and so that protects them because the protocol is backed up by America's some agency, some healthcare organization, which is then protected by a CDC, FDA. So the liability is reduced. The doctor doing doctoring can sometimes get people in lots of trouble. Look, I am only teaching, and people are after me, and they got me lots of damage. Um, so it is. So there are many factors that we are in this state, and so on top of this, the money is earned from us. So Americans are taking loans, debts to run their life, and part of that running is to pay for the insurances and for the healthcare. So the companies are kind of squeezing us, and so we are going under debt for those companies and kind of making them rich. At the same time, I also believe these companies are made up of us. They have people who are amongst from us, and so lawyers of theirs are our society's parts, the decision makers, the workers, they are from us. So I don't know if we can, number one, fix it very fast, and number two, we can blame anyone. It's just, it's what we made. And it has become, the greed and power always distorts a good thing. It starts as a good thing, and then politics, greed, power changes it. This is interesting. Wild Edible says in Canada, you need 1 million before you even start to sue your doctor. Interesting. George, I'm not sure about this one. Can something in long COVID cause abnormal EKG with a septal infarct? Age undetermined, as well as high numbers on some labs that would point. So I can't say. At least it doesn't seem to be that long COVID would cause infarctions. So the doctors need to figure out the blood supply and the heart's load. Iggy Pop says, good explanation. Thank you. Bottom line, big system sucks. Yeah, so big system, large organizations. If you think about it, I am a tiny organization. And every day I think about how do I grow? How do I move forward? These big elephants, these huge whales and sharks, not only they have to grow, they have to show that the stocks are going up and the shares are going up and they are making money, but they also have resources. They have people who are thinking about how do they milk the system or how do they grow. So that's what's happening. So Alexander, Dr. Corey had used that for a year. I had used that for a long time as well. So I haven't yet heard much of the issues, but everybody is different. Vanilla Bean says in Canada, the doctors rarely lose, even in the egregious cases. Yeah. So every system has its, goods and bads. There was a question about M. Gregory. So M. Gregory said, is there an increase of anxiety attacks during pandemic? I'm on the edge here almost. Yes. So if you remember discussions with Dr. Z, that is a problem in the pandemic because of such severe change in our lifestyles, and then financial impact, the social impact, the continuous discussion of bad numbers and deaths, uh, and then wear mask, don't wear mask. If you didn't do this, you'll get this. If you didn't get vaccinated, you'll get lose it. There has been an exceptionally high amount of stress on all of us. I believe we are shell shocked. Once the pandemic is over, which it is almost, we will look back and we will realize what kind of situation we have navigated. And then we'll have to figure out how do we reset ourselves? How do we restore ourselves toward normalcy? We would need a lot of help. That's my opinion. May be wrong. Oh, Dr. Z is here. Dr. Z is here. Sorry, Dr. Z. I represented you. Alexander says, thank you for your work. Yes, you're very welcome. And it's not only the psychological outcomes of the social or physical distances and the numbers. This is all I learned from Dr. Z. Then the inflammations and the health um, problems that we have gotten, they themselves have this as well. So long COVID can actually cause a lot of anxiety and fear because of the brain's um, chemical substance imbalance and the inflammations. So there are so many factors. I think we do not even, just like in a war, people don't even know what is happening. They're just fighting. They're just protecting. They're just going on. It's after the fact what happens. I think we are in that state. We are still going on, and then when this war is over and we look back, we'll have a lot to think about. Thank you, Dr. Z. Wild Edible says, I agree, I have anxiety for a long time, but more people are feeling like I do for one reason or another. Anxiety because everything is different and still changing daily, something stressful. Yes. This is also true that American society, we went through a lot of um, events. We are very divided at this time. We are very emotionally invested in our divisions. We are not even able to trust medical areas, political um, organizations, leaders. So, journalism, we cannot trust them very well. So, really, there is a, maybe other than our own immediate families, the whole structure around trust and sincerity and pleasure and happiness and friendships, that whole thing has become distorted. Ra says, are you concerned? So the concern that I have is the autoimmune disorders. That is what worries me, that will we start having more and more the long COVID side. So long COVID can continue for years and keep causing problems. Mball says, where did it go? The message ran away. I believe a disruption of GABA producing bacteria in the gut can cause anxiety. Yes. This is why I believe these art classes that I'm now, this is my shameless plug for the art class tomorrow. Art classes, um, music, this particular discussion, just sitting together, talking with each other, it's not really, I feel that for these ones, it's not even necessary to have me be talking. It's actually your interaction with each other, being in this little group and being friends. That is huge. Someone, I would not name them, they're one part of this group. They said, I miss it over the weekends. And it makes me anxious about the weekend that I will not have this interaction. I'm paraphrasing them. And I was thinking that maybe we should have maybe half an hour over the weekends as well, because this has become an important way to something to take our attention off of the daily stresses and just interact with each other. So I'm going to try to learn tomorrow how to draw a cat and then share that. And I'm not seeing a lot of diagrams or illustrations on the Discord. So if you are doing something, please take a picture of it and post it to the Discord. Dana says, I miss it on the weekends too. I'm happy to do half hour, 1 hour over the weekends. So John says, what is Paul Borg drawing? So Paul is going to discuss the stats and the variants, and then we would do the chit chat and we'll do drawings. Hidis says, I would love to have weekend talks too, but you need to be sure to take care of it. Absolutely. Dr. Iron Mom says, I miss Dr. Bean on weekends too. I miss you all. Cat, cat, cat. Yes. Yes, we'll draw cat tomorrow. I would learn cat tomorrow. Doug says, I've been loading tools to work on a toilet tomorrow and now laundry. Very good. Fluoxamine for long COVID. Now I'm happy about everything all the time, which is good. JLB says this interaction is really great. Yes. Yes. It is so funny that we all actually evolved and matured and grew during this time, because this was not a normal life events. This was a pandemic. This was once in a lifetime or once in many generations kind of an event. So we were forced to grow through this. And so this whole experience and what is happening with people and how various folks were interacting, or organizations, and how we were navigating it, that has grown us all. Igor says, where the whiskers come out of the face. So I looked at Luffy. So he has these little cheeks here, and then they come out of the cheeks. Do you know why cats have whiskers? I'm sure that you all know, but it was fun for me to know. Cats' whiskers should never be trimmed because they are their width. So cat would put their face through an opening, and if the whiskers can cross them, then the cat knows that my body can cross it. So usually the whiskers tell them, they're like sensors like Roomba to tell them if they can pass through whatever passage they're going to pass through. Igor says, try massaging that area with Q-tips very gently. Mine loves it. So Luffy loves massage by me. So he would come over. This is his everyday's routine. He will come over at night, sit down with me at my bed, and I would massage him behind his ears and I would massage his whole body. Then he would sit there for 5-10 minutes getting that massage and then get down and go and sleep. But if I don't do it, he would not go to sleep. Correct. Okomo says, Dr. B, have you heard of any of many unvaccinated patients being on ventilation? Recently, I don't seem to hear about it in the news anymore. I have not. And is that truth, or I'll have to research on this one. Alexander says cats get Wi-Fi by Whiskers. Correct. I should have him here all the time to give me good Wi-Fi. Correct. To stop bumping in the walls. Yes. Vanilla Bean says seeing Luffy is very calming, so I'll try to get him. Nipa, thank you very much. I benefited equally as you did. So the the role I took was to say, I'll go learn and bring it to us. But then we all coming together, discussing, talking, doing this, that helped us a lot to navigate this time. It helped me as well. Cynthia says cat whiskers also curl slightly forward to help entrain smells. Very interesting. M. Gregory says, oh, I thought whiskers were for balance. Maybe that too. I just knew this one. John says, not even little cuff today. We need the recipe. Yes. So I asked her and she said uh, she used saunf. So there was no manuka honey, there was no pepper. Instead, there was saunf. So the question is, what is saunf in English? So 1 second. Fennel. I believe it is fennel. Let me see. Or fennel seeds. Yes. So let me show you. So don't take it without, I'll confirm, but I believe these seeds, these are called saunf or fennel seeds. This was the tea made up of fennel seeds. Absolutely. Keyboards are for the cats to sleep on, yes. So, with this, how about we break for today and meet tomorrow? Um, my usual one, you can probably just speak along. Like, subscribe, and share. And there are links in the description. The most affordable access to DrBeen. And then there's a link for that, for the premium account on drbeen.com. or you can become a patron even for $5 per month. It is actually valuable that we can discuss there, we can prioritize things, and you can support this work as well. And you can use PayPal as well, and you can use Buy Me a Coffee. The links for all of these are in the description. Thank you very much, and I would see you tomorrow. Even the link for Substack is in the description. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.